Hello everyone. Today we are looking at weight painting in Blender using the Avastar add-on. And here I have a mesh outfit. It's basically a bodysuit that covers the Secondlife avatar. And the reason why I made this is because I used this suit to transfer weights to clothing items. So it just works out better because this suit is sitting on top of the mesh, and plus it is a little bit more higher poly, so I get a much better gradient in the weighting than I would just transferring directly from the avatar's weights. So that's what I do, and one of the things I've noticed is that I have problems with hands and neck and feet because it's just a bodysuit. So what you might want to do is just copy the whole body and make a whole new version of the body, make it higher poly like I've done with the bodysuit here, and then make your perfect weights for that bodysuit, and then you can transfer those to any new clothing item. And Avastar makes the whole process easy. Like, you don't have to do it this way. You can just transfer right from the avatar. But I just do it this way because it's just faster, and I had to do it anyways, and it just made sense for me. So I have two versions. I have a regular weighted version, which are just weighted to the animation bones. And then there is a fitted mesh version, which I did weights for. And that's like completely different, and I'm not going to go over fitted mesh today. If people really want me to go over fitted mesh, then you can ask me in the comments, and if I get enough of those, I will do a fitted mesh one. But it's not my favorite thing, so I just want to go over basic weights today, because if you learn that, then you can pretty much weight anything. Okay, so let's start with something new here. Let's open up a new one, and now we'll delete this cube. I'm going to turn on my screencasting, and one thing you'll notice in my screencasting, it says minus. When I pan, it says minus. It should say shift middle mouse, but I've connected it to a button on my mouse, and that just happens to be the minus button. So anytime you see minus, that's really pan or shift middle mouse. Okay, so let's add in an avatar. Okay, now we have the avatar, and we'll go to layer 2, and we'll import that OBJ file for the bodysuit. And where do I have it? Right here. So there's the bodysuit. We'll zoom in here, and we'll show the body. And what you need to do, I mean, Avastar just makes this so simple, it's ridiculous. And what you need to do is select the bodysuit, or whatever mesh that you're trying to rig, and then you hit shift and select the bones. So select the bodysuit, then shift select the bones, and then in the side panel under Avastar, you will see skinning. Skinning and rigging. So, and you just want to hit assign armature. Now you can look at the different options you have for weighting. So it's going to automatically weight your clothing, and you can use meshes, bones, empty, or keep, all of which do something slightly different. You can transfer from different meshes or not. You can attach the armature without applying automatic weights, just using weights that you already have on your mesh. Okay, so but we just want meshes and assign armature. Now this is going to take a second. And I'm also going to link underneath the video, I'm going to link it to the documents page on Blender, the Blender wiki pages. And you'll be able to read anything about what each tool does and whatever. Okay, so now we have the weights transferred. So now I'm selected back on the mesh, and I'm going to hit skin in the side panel. And now if I select a bone, I can see the weights on those bones. I'm going to change the bones to stick. That way I can better see the mesh. And if you look at these weights are okay, you know, for this particular weight, for this particular outfit. It, you know, the weighting is going to be okay. And right here, I'll kind of explain what's going on here. This mesh was never, it didn't preserve volume. Now, I don't know if this is totally right, because my experience in Second Life is that the shoulders do not preserve volume, but the legs do. So, but this is all one outfit, so I kind of have to match it with, you know, whatever's going on right here. So, if I go to the modifier tab, you'll see here preserve volume. I want to check that. Okay, and that'll fix the mesh there. So basically this turned out pretty good. There's a little poke through here. But other than that, this is going to work out pretty good. You can clean this up, and I'm going to kind of show you real quick. I'm going to use the chest. Let me reset this one. Alt-R. We'll go to the chest, and when you look at this chest, I'm going to show you something real quick here. The weights on the Second Life avatar are terrible, really. I mean, they really are atrocious, really. And if you look, the clothing just gets pulled in, and there's a little, has all these spikes and everything, and the body showing through, and so they're just horrible weights on the Second Life avatar, and so you basically have to try and work around that. For the most part, a lot of people are probably going to put an alpha over the body, so you won't see the body at all. So if you do that, then you know the best thing you could do is try and smooth out these weights so that they're not folding in on each other. Okay, and I'll kind of show how to fix that right now. So, okay, so now brush tools. So we go to the tools tab, and this top setting here, you're pretty much not going to change at all. Okay, and the brush we're using is just a normal draw. So you're not going to touch weights. The radius is how big that circle is, which is how many vertices you will change. And if I go to the little object symbol and turn on wire, you'll see the wire mesh in here, and the weights are applied to each one of the points, each one of the vertices. So it's good to know where those are. So the last one is strength, and I'm going to use the blur first. Usually you finish off your weighting using blur, but this will probably work out really good through here, so I'm going to use blur right now. And the strength, when I use blur, I usually go about 0.4 or so, and I want that brush to be up a little larger. That'll probably work out. Yep. So now I'm just left clicking and it blends all the different weights within the circle. So I'm just trying to blend this so it has a more gradual weighting. I mean, that's basically why the Secondlife Avatar has such bad weighting, because it's so drastic between each set of bones. So this is not looking too bad. And you can pretty much go pretty quick. Weighting can be very tedious though. And let's see, and we also have, this is also a part of the waist too. So if I do one set, I have to do the other to really get it smooth. So let's try and smooth this out. But you see how sharp these are. How it just the red almost meets right up with the blue, and that's not very good weighting if it looks that way. It should always be very gradual, depending on what you're working on. So real quick, real easy, kind of smooth this out. And okay, so let's give it a quick check here. I'm going to give you a side view, and it looks a little bit better. What if I turn off? So I can go to this side here, and then, oops, where am I at here? Upper body mesh, right there. I can just turn off the visibility of it so I can work on it. I think that's a little bit too far. Let me go like this, like there. Yep. And we'll just blur that a little bit more. And normally, you know, you're not always going to be using the blur. And like I said, generally this is, use it when you're finishing up the mesh. You're just trying to get everything real smooth, which is kind of what we're doing here. But it's just much faster to do it this way than to do it vert by vert. So this probably looks a lot better than it was now. Let me give this a good pass over here. Yeah. And I'll show you real quick. Let's see if and the three most often blending modes you're going to use are subtract, add, and blur. Anything else, it just gets real tricky. And see, that was bad. Okay. So now I'm adding, and anytime you're adding or subtracting, you probably don't want to be up that high. I mean, if you're just weighting everything all red, you know, on the mesh, then yeah, you want to turn this strength all the way up. But if you're just going kind of vert by vert, then you want to keep this value pretty low. It's almost as low as you can go. And I want to turn my brush size down. Yep. So right here it looks a little indented, so I'm just clicking on each one of these that I think look a little too low. And I can go here. And some of these look a little too much, so I'm going to go subtract now. And go here, 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 right there. There. So you can go vert by vert and just try and make a very gradual transition from one bone to another. So maybe here. But weighting can be extremely tedious. Another thing you definitely want to do is you want to go to options and turn on mirror. I probably should have done this before, but if you look at mirror, here we'll go at the bottom here. We'll subtract. So I have mirror on. Not topology, you just have to have X mirror, but and I want to subtract. Okay, now if we just back off a little, you'll see when I hit this one, it'll also affect this one. So just like that, you can do, so this way you're just working on one side of the body. And if they don't match up, if you hit one of them, then they will automatically match up to whatever you did on the other side. But using X mirror when you can, that's why it's almost kind of important to, if you're making a mesh shirt or a mesh avatar, that your avatar or your mesh is perfectly symmetrical, and that way X mirror will work and it will save you a ton of time. Okay, so that's basically how you weight items. I mean, it's generally that quick. Of course, you are going to want to go through every bone, so look at how bad this is here. So I would go to my blur. I want to blur this out a little bit. Up my radius. Because look at how sharp that is there. So I just want to try and blend this a little bit more. And you can always check too. I mean, you can rotate these bones and then always check, and if I remember correctly, kind of poke through over here. Well, it's not doing it now, but it's definitely very spiky through here. And blur, it can be a very nice tool to use. It's really about smoothing out all that jagginess that's going on, because it's, you know, kind of blurring the weights, but blurring them together. But that's why Avastar just makes it so easy, because I mean, normally you would have to, the default weights that you would get through Blender or whatever, they wouldn't be this close to good that I could just sit here and use the blend tool and just go to work. Okay, and there's another thing here. Now let's say I don't want to, here I am weighting this arm, but you know, I don't want to get any weights on any other part of the body, because I mean, this is a common thing that happens when you're weighting, is you'll be weighting the arm here and you'll accidentally get a little bit of weight on the butt or something, you know, and then you won't realize that till you're moving the whole avatar around and everything gets screwed up. So one thing you can do in Blender is you can kind of mask off what you are weighting. So I'm weighting the arm here, and I'm going to use the face mask here, and I'm just going to select, I think I have to select one face first, and then select just a bunch of faces. So I'm going to just select all the faces that I want to work on. This is especially good like between legs, because legs are usually very close together. And now, because I can only weight across here, I will never get any weight value here. See, if I can click here and nothing's going to happen. But if I click up here, you know, now I'm changing things. But it'll only go as far as I put that mask. Okay, so that's a handy tool to use. And then we can turn it off. You can also look at it per vert. You can kind of do the same thing per vert. Let's say I just want to choose a set of verts. Now I only want to change the weights in here. Now it will only let me change weights in here, and it won't let me change anything out here. So it kind of works the same way. And if you are on here, you can also see what weights are on each of the bones. It says vertex weight here. So you could actually change the values right in here by sliding this up and down. You see this vert that I'm on right here? So I could just literally change the weights on there by sliding that. So there's lots of different ways that you can check your weights and things like that. But that's the basics of weighting. And what else do I want to do here? I think I want to show how to take weights off of another mesh. Here we are going to take this tank top, which doesn't have any weights on it, and we're going to use the weights from that wetsuit that I created. And that was the whole purpose of creating the wetsuit, so I could easily transfer these perfect weights that I created to other clothing items. So I'm going to do that to this tank top. So we'll go to layer 3, and then we're going to append, because I need to go get that wetsuit. So I'm going to append from my latest file that has that wetsuit, and I'm going to append an object. And where's the name? Female wetsuit. The FM one is fitted mesh. So I'm going to append the classic one. And here's my wetsuit, and it even came in with its skeleton. But I don't need that. I need this to be on the skeleton that I'm using, or the armature. Okay, so I need to get rid of this. So we select the wetsuit, which for some reason has a wireframe on it. But so we need to get rid of the skeleton. So we can just go to our modifier tab and then click off the avatar. Okay. Now that doesn't totally get rid of, well, I can delete the armature now. So I can just select the armature in the top window and then right click and delete it. Or I could do it in the scene, of course, in the 3D view. So now I just have this mesh, and I need to attach it to the armature that I'm using. So I need to do it just like I did with the other clothing. So I'm going to right click and select the bones. Then I'm going to go to the Avastar tab, and I'm going to assign the armature. But before I do that, see this wetsuit already has weights. So I want to keep the weights that are there. So instead of meshes, I want to choose keep. Now I want to assign the armature. And now if I select and I go to the modifier, I can get rid of this one, the old one it had, and just keep this one. And now it should be ready to use to transfer the weights over. And if you look in the tab, you'll see the wetsuit is connected to the armature. Okay, so now we got to find the tank top here, and now we're going to we want to make the head, the armature, or the Secondlife avatar, its mesh. We don't want that showing because we want to transfer whatever weights come from the meshes that are showing. So we want to turn off the visibility of everything except for the wetsuit. Now, if we go to our Avastar tab, and then we click on the bones, we should have an option to rig it, assign our armature, and we don't want to keep this time. We want meshes again, because now we're going to take the meshes from the weights from the wetsuit. So now when we assign armature, now when we come in and look at, we can take that away and bring back the body, and then if we go to, we hit skin, now we can see these perfectly laid out weights from the wetsuit. Now I might need to do some adjusting on the shoulder just because of the way it bends and stuff like that, but I don't have to do any weighting for the shirt. I just has a perfect transfer from my wetsuit. So that's a quick look at that. And what else did I want to talk about? There's lots of options here for different things. Copy from rig, remove weight, swap, collision. These are all things that you likely want to look up. If you need to use these things, you can look for zero weights. Generally, I don't have to use any of these, so I'm not going to talk about them in depth. But I am going to leave a link at the bottom of the video to some of the documentation on some of these options. Okay, so that's the video, and have a good one, everyone.